Welcome to Soundbite, the podcast where we talk to interesting people in the Maritimes about their stories and current issues. I'm Caitlin Dutt, one of your co-hosts.
And I'm Tim Porter.
All right. Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, Tim.
I guess we're talking Canadian music today. We've got the famous Bob Rock.
Bob
Is it
Rock.
Bob Rock?
No, that would be the producer.
Oh, no, not Bob Rock. Who is it we're talking to today?
I think we're talking to Bob Mersereau.
Oh, Bob Mersereau.
Yes.
Who's he?
So he's a longtime arts and culture reporter based in Fredericton, New Brunswick. And, he's for more than 3 decades. He's reported on East Coast music scene for CBC and several other outlets. He's published several books on the topic as well, including the top 100 Canadian albums,
Yes.
top 100 Canadian singles.
I've got them right here, actually.
Awesome.
I'm going to pull them out of my bag here in a minute.
Well, there you go. I'm very excited. But, several books. How many books have you published
Hi,
again,
Bob.
Zach?
Hi there. Hi, everyone. 4 books.
Four
so
books.
far.
Four
Yeah.
books under
Perfect.
his, yeah.
Yeah, 4.
What are the others, Bob?
Let's see. We had the top 100 Canadian albums, top 100 Canadian singles, the history of Canadian rock and roll, and the East Coast Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very exciting.
So that was the most recent one. So.
All right.
So you've got quite a bit of knowledge stored away in your brain.
I would call it trivia.
Well, no, all the knowledge is passed down through his fingers, and he's already written it out.
Yeah.
He may not remember any of it.
Well, you said
We'll
you've got
see.
the books here, so
Yeah, we'll jog his memory here and see how good he is at remembering what he's put in these books.
yes.
Yeah.
A little bit of trivia.
So before we get into the past glories, Bob, I understand you're working on a current book.
Yeah, sure. The one that we have the first draft done of, it's the biography of the Canadian songwriter Gene McClellan. And I'm co-writing it with his daughter, Catherine McClellan, who's a Juno-winning folk singer on her own. Gene is best known, of course, as the writer of Snowbird, Anne Murray's hit.
Yes.
And Put Your Hand in the Hand, which was a hit for the band Ocean in
Of course.
1971. Huge international hit
It was.
as well. And he's got tons of other ones that were recorded by Anne and lots of other artists. He was recorded, Elvis.
Right.
Small feat there to have your songs recorded by Elvis Presley back in the day.
Yes.
And everybody from Count Basie to, I think there's something like 100 different versions of Put Your Hand in the Hand out there.
Yes.
Nearly
I
as
remember
many.
it well from the 70s.
Yeah.
Yes, it was everywhere. On pianos everywhere. Back then they had sheet music and people would, play it. And
Interesting bit of trivia to that, and I haven't been able to narrow it down because nobody's kept the receipts and numbers, but it's believed that Put Your Hand in the Hand was the biggest selling sheet music of the second half of the 20th century.
No doubt.
Wow.
No doubt.
Because every choir in Canada and the U.S. and around the world had to know that song.
I'll have to check and see if I own it. I don't know. Maybe I do. So tell us. So Snowbird.
Yeah.
Was Anne Murray the first to record that song?
Anne was the first to record it, yeah, and that came about because Gene gave it to her.
Right.
He was playing the old Don Messer show, which is before your time, Caitlin, for sure. It was
Most of this is.
big hit TV show in the 1960s in Canada, and recorded out of Halifax, CBC Halifax. And Gene was a guest in 1969. And the thing about Don Messer's Jubilee was that it was the same crew that in CBC that worked on Sing Along Jubilee as well, where Anne was a star. So when they all heard this guy singing Snowbird, everybody went, oh my gosh, this is like an amazing song. And producer of the show, Bill Langstroth, phoned up his friend Anne from the show. They later married, by the way, and said, "You got to get over here and hear this guy's songs." So they all met up at the CBC in Halifax, and Jean played her 3 or 4 songs, gave her a tape of them, and she said, "Can I sing these?" And he said, "They're yours if you want them." So that's how it all started for both of them.
And describe for Caitlin how big a hit that was.
Okay, well, in 1971, BMI, which is the recording organization that collects songwriting royalties and charts airplay around the world for all its artists, said that Snowbird was the most played song in the world.
Wow.
For that.
Okay, that is pretty impressive.
On broadcast media, yeah. It was a crossover hit in 3 different formats. So it was pop. It was top 10 pop charts in Billboard, top 10 country, and a #1 adult contemporary. So you had 3 different formats playing it all at once, and of course selling as well. So
wow.
It was first Canadian female album to go gold in the United States. Anne Murray's record with it on it, and just so tons and tons of.
So we're talking the Taylor Swift of the 1970s.
It was very big. It made Anne an international star. And I'll argue that it was not the start, but it was the defining moment for the Canadian recording industry. It was a homegrown artist who hit #1 and just sold so much that all of a sudden everybody had to go, okay, that song was made here. It was everybody involved was pretty much either a Maritimer or in the record company in Toronto, and it said, okay, we're in the big time now.
Right.
Well, the thing about Anne Murray is she really had a crossover voice. She got categorized kind of as country a bit for a while, but she really didn't have country songs per se. They're more maybe easy listening kind of category, and a lot of ballads.
Yeah, Anne came out singing in an era when you still remembered, the 50s style. Patti Page and Doris Day, and that was really her roots. It was that kind of singing. Sure, she liked lots of rock and roll, and she liked the Beatles like everybody else in the 60s, but she had a style that was more in common with 50s and earlier. So she did have that ability to go from genre to genre. Plus, she had this incredibly pure voice in that she hit the notes bang on. She wasn't a blues singer. She wasn't a jazz singer. She was singing it with a, definite style that said, okay, this is crooning almost,
Oh, and we should mention she went to UNB.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well,
and her first recording was done at Red and Black on an album called The Groove, which was put together by Radio UNB. So somewhere in this building where we sit right now is a copy. And people sent a cease and desist letter many years ago, back in the 70s, saying, "Don't you play that thing on the radio." However, she did release it on her box set in the 90s. So she released the recording.
I think the Red and Black Review is still,
it was
still going on.
Yep.
Right. So would you say that Anne Murray is kind of one of those people that proved that Canadian music could go beyond Canada?
She was, absolutely. She followed in a tradition, of course. There were ones before, even from Nova Scotia, Hank Snow, and there were Canadian recording artists through the years. But it took Anne, I think, to go, okay, now we're in the modern big world of pop music.
Okay, before we move off Anne Murray, so I texted you this photo, Bob.
Oh yeah, the famous one.
Now, Please describe for our listeners what we're looking at in this photo.
Okay, so that was Anne. I think she was playing the Troubadour in Los Angeles, and she had a crazy manager for a while in the States by the name of Shep Gordon, who was Alice Cooper's manager, most famously. There's a great documentary about Shep Gordon out there. It has been on Netflix in the past, but it's he was just a wild man himself, and he knew how to get attention. So Anne had hired him to break her bigger in the States. She was having a little trouble getting follow-ups to Snowbird. So Shep said, what we need is one photo. Photos do everything. In those days, one photo would change everything for an artist. And photos were not like today. Not, it doesn't, where the photo, 10 minutes later, it's on the net. In those days, that it would slowly spread, and it would go across to the AP wire services, and one paper would pick it up, then the next, and Rolling Stone or whoever. And he said, well, I need a favor. So he phoned his buddy Alice. And Alice at that point was a part of an organization roughly known as the Hollywood Vampires, who were drinking buddies in L.A., and it included mostly John Lennon and Harry Nilsson. And the other member that was there that night was Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees. So this is 1973, I think it is. And, they came over and said, sure, I'll take a picture. And it was like...
It does look pretty natural, though. They're all kind of like hanging out as if they're just like natural friends,
I'm not even sure that they went to the show. To be honest. I mean, they all hung out at the Troubadour at various times, but in this case, I think they just sort of showed up and had the picture taken. Although John Lennon has said lots of nice things about Anne Murray's voice over the years, too. So it wasn't, there was no malice or anything involved in it, but it did the job. Within a few months, she was considered cool. She ended up guest on Saturday Night Live in their first season. So, yeah, it turned her from middle of the road onto the more in line with the pop charts.
Yeah. Nice, nice. So you were like music journalist for a long, long time. Can you talk about like some of the highlights over your career that you've really that's really stood out to you?
Or lowlights.
Yeah.
A lot of late nights, I can tell you that, and early mornings. I can recall, rushing back from the East Coast Music Awards and PEI at 6 a.m. to catch the last ferry, or the first ferry. It was last for me that night.
Before the Confederation Bridge was built.
That's right. And feeling worse for wear. But if I was going to pick a highlight, I would say it would be seeing Leonard Cohen at the Playhouse in Fredericton on the first night of his comeback tour in 2008. That was quite a coup for Fredericton to grab that. He had retired from the stage, but financially he'd been famously, all his money had been stolen by his business manager, much to his surprise. He never got it back. So he needed to build his legacy back, mostly for his kids. So he agreed after a couple of years of negotiations. Finally, he was convinced to tour again. But there was a catch in that. He could try it out. He agreed to do 6 weeks of touring, and if he didn't like it, he could bail after that. So he put the band together, said, I don't want a big splashy thing in New York or Toronto or wherever. Let's pick something really small. And that was the Maritimes. So nice. We were lucky. I was like 8th row. It was amazing. The audience, as soon as he stepped on the stage, the immediate standing ovation.
Yeah, that's impressive to get somebody like that at the Playhouse, too.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
For sure. I did a story on that for National Music Center here earlier this year, and Tim Yerxa, who's still in the same position running the Playhouse in Fredericton, was, for him it was also a crowning achievement.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, there's a recording of that you can buy.
Yeah,
the live
yeah. The
recording?
first 4 songs were released as a live EP. I think
Right.
it was. Yeah, they recorded the whole show. I wish they'd put the whole thing out. But.
So I guess we could break out the books here, but
Yeah.
what did you categorize as his best song, Leonard Cohen's best song?
Well, Hallelujah's so overplayed now. Even he was tired of it and advised a moratorium on recordings. But I do really like it.
It's popular for a reason.
Yeah, it's got my favorite lines, and I liked it when I first heard it. In
Is that
84,
what charted in your book the highest?
Yes, I believe in the singles. Yeah,
Suzanne.
yeah.
Okay.
Suzanne was
Suzanne.
was there as well. Yeah,
Nice.
it used to be Suzanne was definitely his most popular, but
Burn on the
Hallelujah
Wire.
overtook it. Yeah, those were the only 2 in the top 100.
Suzanne.
Yeah.
You've been studying.
What?
You've been
No,
studying the
I'm
book.
just throwing them out. I don't know. I'll break it out here in a minute.
All right.
Yeah. And in the albums, I think he had 2 or 3 in the albums. I can't remember now, but in the top 100 albums book. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, who do you follow now in a more contemporary way? Is there anyone that you?
Contemporary. You know what's funny, and I hate to admit it, but I retired from CBC in 7 years ago or so, and what I found was that I kind of retired from current at the same time. I'd spent so much of my time doing, trying to be on top of everything that it was nice to not be on top of everything and go back and listen to all that. And to be honest, I have had a problem, separating my old work and my listening. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I'm mostly just going back and going, oh yeah, I really like that album. I should listen to it again.
So, what about some of the Canadian people that made it big in the States? Do you still consider them as Canadian artists? So, like, you look at a Neil Young or Joni Mitchell or, even Robbie Robertson, I guess you can.
Yeah, I never had a problem with that. It used to be, a lot. I remember Stompin' Tom Connors,
Right.
years ago, famously gave back all his Juno awards and got mad at the industry because they were honoring these. I forget, what did he call? He had a great phrase for them, border jumpers or
Right.
something.
Yes.
Border jumpers.
And he was mad because so much focus was on these ones that had moved from Canada. Well, you know what? They've all those people you named all came back to Canada at various times in their career and have shown how much they love the country.
Yeah.
Neil owns property and he's played. I mean, he was a farm aide. He was wearing a CBC sweatshirt, or a T-shirt. Joni Mitchell still has always had a place in BC for decades, and Robbie Robertson did tons of stuff back in Toronto when towards the end of his life. So they all showed that where their heart was.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to move, right? It's like our scenes were too small. They outgrew them. They had to get out of there, and that's fair, right? You followed your career. Gordon Lightfoot, Ian and Sylvia found him in a tavern in Toronto and started recording his songs. Well, a big time manager, Albert Goldman, heard about him and through Ian and Sylvia and signed him up, and it's just there were too many opportunities to pass up. So
For sure. And so, as like a music arts journalist, did you ever have the opportunity to meet any musicians?
Yeah.
And can you tell us some of those stories?
Yeah, mostly they're the bigger stars. It's usually fleeting or an interview or backstage. I've met Neil Young a couple of times, and he's always great. I actually had much better time talking to his then wife Peggy when I met them because, he was off glad-handing all the other people that were there to shake his hand and afterwards. And I just sat and talked to Peggy the whole time, showed her one of those books. Her photos were in it of Neil. She really liked that. So, I'm just standing off talking to her. By the end of it, Neil comes up, of course, and I had a much better chat with him than I would have if I just, stood in line and that. I met most of them, people that I really admired over the years. But it's when you interview them that you get, a lot more. Cohen, again, he was the nicest man to interview and just so polite. Listened to your questions, didn't, actually answered them rather than went into a spiel. And unfailingly, he would, be almost. He made you feel good about yourself, which is pretty cool. There was he got the time mixed up on our interview by phone once, and so he phoned like an hour early. It was just the time difference from wherever he was, and I wasn't home. So there was a message on my answering machine. Hello, I'm looking for Bob. This is Leonard Cohen. I'm just like, ooh, I got to keep that.
Like save.
Yeah. But what I found most interesting over the years is how different Canadian artists are compared to U.S. or British or whoever. They are, once you get past the formalities, almost always it just goes into that, yeah, you're Canadian, I'm Canadian, and we get all this stuff in common, and that's cool. They're very down to earth. They're very polite. It's it's just such a much better. There's very few interviews where I've walked a guy going, well, that guy's a jip. That was not fun. I can only think of a couple that where I've gone, I don't need to speak to them again.
Right.
But for the most part, it's always been really nice, pleasant experiences.
Do you find that there is like kind of a common thread of like Canadian identity when you listen to Canadian-born musicians, or is there quite a diversity?
I think it's more personality than anything else. But there are just so many touchstones that we can all agree on. And everybody talks about songwriting, and I'd say that's definitely something. We have such a legacy of excellent songwriters out of the 60s that I think everybody holds that as the ideal. There's a Mount Rushmore of Canadian songwriters, to steal the American, of Neil Young, Leonard Cohen, Joni Mitchell, and Gordon Lightfoot would be the four, I guess, that would be up there. And almost everyone that comes out of Canada, even, to modern times, looks at those four. Joni Mitchell is as hot as she's ever been, right now, with currently with other artists and songwriters. So those four, everybody looks up to so much.
They really kind of set the path for finding success.
Yeah, and we all agree on it, right? That's the thing.
Yeah,
in English Canada.
You can't deny
it. Yeah.
Well, Caitlin, we've got an ad to read.
Oh, okay. Exciting.
If you don't mind, if we just take a moment.
For sure.
So we've got the MRTI agency, and they're sponsoring some shows coming up. So the first one is the Hello Crows at the Playhouse.
Oh, yeah. They're pretty great.
On Truth and Reconciliation Day.
Yeah, they are. I've seen the Hello Crows. I do see... Yeah, and that's a great band. I love seeing them.
Right. And so there's tickets at the Playhouse. It's a kind of a charity show for this longhouse they're building out in Peniac.
Nice.
And I think it's a record release as well that night. So if you're looking for something to do on Truth and Reconciliation Day, and I think we're sponsoring it. Port O'Brien. Well.
Awesome. How very nice of us.
We're one of the sponsors, I guess.
I think well worth it.
Yeah, one of the sponsors. And also, just before, they also have the Matt Minglewood show coming up in the end of January 31st. It's at the Delta, and it's one of those packages where you can have dinner and maybe spend the night. It depends on what you want to buy for a package. But Matt Minglewood with Sam Moon opening up for them. And maybe Bob could explain to you who Matt Minglewood is.
Yes.
I can. As a matter of fact, Matt was featured in my last book, which was the East Coast Book of Fame. So Minglewood, born in Moncton, actually, last name Batherson, but he'd moved to it was North Sydney, Sydney Mines, moved to Cape Breton anyway, and all his buddies getting into music, they all needed to come up with nicknames. So he got Minglewood and that, and Sam Moon got Sam Moon. And
Nice.
So they came out late 60s and into the 70s and became this powerhouse blues organization that went through several different names and band configurations. Moon Minglewood and the Universal Power was one of them. Huge in East Coast taverns. First time I would have seen Minglewood in the 70s would be down here at the legendary Riverview Arms, which was just by the bridge
Nice.
down here from campus. So everybody used to stumble down from UNB and crawl back up after a night at the Arms. And Minglewood eventually became a national star and kind of went the country rock era. So he was signed to RCA, had a major label record deal, and was driving around with 18-wheelers hauling his gear and the whole thing, and kind of stepped back from that and went, I don't know, it wasn't everything it was cracked up to be. So he reconfigured and came back and has had a really strong career with kind of doing everything. He's no longer the guy that jumps on the tables with a 70-foot cord on his guitar and walks down the length of the bar on the tables. I've seen that. And you know, places like the El Macombo in Toronto. He's more reflective.
They do it in New Orleans. Yeah.
See, this is the best ad you're going to get.
Right,
Bob
there you go.
Mersereau endorsed.
And I think he won a Juno for something.
I think he
I don't remember what it was,
I cannot recall if that's. But anyway, he was he was a big national star and those, and then kind of stepped back and went, we've been doing this for a long time, and in the last 10 years, he's developed into this storytelling singer-songwriter that does these great shows in soft seat theaters around and tells the stories and still has the voice. I think he's 78. I can't remember.
It's his 79th birthday.
Is it? Okay, it's his 79th. Yeah,
for this
Nice.
show. Yeah.
That's
So
pretty
it's his
impressive,
birthday
yeah.
show. Yeah, he's he's a East Coast legend. That's all there is.
awesome.
And Sam Moon equally went along with him. Sam famously has been dressing in muumuus on stage for years and years. He's a big man, so it fits well. But that all came about from a show. They were here. They used to be booked and worked out of Fredericton for a while in the early 70s. And they were doing a show in Fredericton Junction at the school. And before the show, they went into the dressing room they'd been given, and all the costumes were there for a play. And Sam found this great, huge tent-like thing and said, wouldn't it be funny if I walked on stage in a dress? Anyway, such is how things happen. So he's been wearing them ever since.
That's great.
So
Well,
have Sam and Matt together is great. I mean, it's just like two old friends from the 60s still doing it together. So.
Yeah. So do you have anyone else to advertise on the MTRI agency?
Oh, no. Well, not today. No.
Not today.
That were my two ads.
The 5-minute
Okay.
ad that you just
Yeah.
gave.
So you got Hello Crows, Truth and Reconciliation Day. Where is the Playhouse?
And at the Playhouse, and Matt Minglewood at the end of January and at the Delta.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Should be two good shows.
Speaking of East Coast legends, we've been talking to Bob Mersereau, and we're going to take a little break. and we'll say goodbye to our radio listeners, and we'll be back for more of the podcast, and maybe we'll break out the books.
All right. Let's see you then.
All right. Okay, we're back with Bob Mersereau, and we're going to get into the books, right?
Yes, his
Right.
4 books. Top
Four
100
books. Well,
Canadian albums, top 100 Canadian singles. I think you got both of these books.
I only have 2 of them here.
All right. That's a good start, I think.
I got copies in my trunk. I'll sell you them.
And, well, you've already sold me these once, and I
I'll
lined
get the new
up.
ones.
I lined up. You'll see, Caitlin. I lined up for Bob to sign it, and I was like,
Yes.
Waited in line at, whatever signing.
Oh, see, I was thinking you were
Whatever
going to get him an autograph today.
Whatever signing party he had. Well,
Well,
this
there you
one,
go.
I think I have 2 of these because I was looking at this yesterday, and I see Bob signed it with his little scrawl.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bob, I was expecting like a nice Sharpie or something, from Bob, but instead I got a little Bic pen where he's just kind of scrawls out all the best or something. And it's kind of like, okay, I waited in line 20 minutes for that. But then I see somebody must have. I know I bought this, and Bob, I have no idea what happened here. But then a bunch of people wrote on here, and I have no idea who these people are. I'm looking
You got
at
a Pamela,
a Brian. They're all wishing me like a great vacation. I have no idea what they're talking about.
Okay, when did you buy this book?
I have no idea. Like it's maybe 15 years ago, whenever. Anyway,
At least they signed in Sharpies.
it's a
and
complete
nice.
mystery. It's a complete mystery, and I think Bob signed this one too.
Oh, yeah.
No. Oh, yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I
there's
said
just
the same thing.
There's a little scrawl.
Is that your like signature like all the best?
Oh, no. I have like 17 different ones, but you just hit both of them that got all the best. It's one of the most frustrating things when you're sitting there, you go, okay, what do I sign in here? Because there's a lineup of people and you're trying not to go, Tim, you were the best friend I ever had in the world.
Right.
I
was looking for that, actually.
And you're looking for, okay, what's our...
I wanted to
what's
be
a good
friend.
connecting story? It's like inevitably, it's like, you're embarrassed.
Yeah.
That you can't say the one that you want to. And then so I have all the best and keep on rocking and here's some great Canadian music for you. Happy listening.
All of those would have been better than all the best. Actually, I would have taken any of those.
That's the generic one. I wonder if you actually bought that at Westminster or something.
Well, you think it's a knockoff or something?
No,
or?
I think it's the ones that I would have signed and
No,
left.
I lined up, Bob.
Okay, all right,
At
all right.
least one of these.
Yeah,
I don't know if I lined up for both of them, but I know one of them. I stood there in line. It was up on campus somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you have
that was the albums one. Yeah, that was.
Did
the
you
first
have
one.
a release on campus here?
It was where? Yes, it was
Somewhere? I can't remember.
It was a. Yeah, it was the Goose Lane one.
Right.
And there were 3. Hermione song was there, and there were 3 books being launched.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah,
that was the one.
Yeah, that's legit. All right, I said all the best.
See, you could still follow up and sign it another time.
But
I don't know if it'll
At least
work
I said
the same.
Tim.
At least you knew my name.
Yeah.
Tom. That would be the real
And I
like.
spelled my own name right. I've done that before, where you sign your name and you realize you spelled it wrong. And you go, do I cross it out?
like shoot.
So
no.
these compilations, Bob, you didn't just do this off the top of your head. You had some input, right?
No, I realized that nobody gives a crap about what I think are the top 100 albums or top 100 singles in Canada.
Yes.
So I did huge juries of people in the Canadian music world.
Right.
So I did everybody from roadies to rock stars and in between.
Right.
And did it across Canada and that sort of thing. And got There were like 600 in the first and 800 in the second, sort of thing. And what I asked them was name your top 10 Canadian albums or Canadian singles, and then I did the math. It was pretty simple.
Okay, so you got like a whole data set algorithm, figuring it all out.
Yeah, definitely not scientific. I mean, I'm not going to argue that this is, the perfect way to do it. It's just a way.
Yeah.
And it worked out. I was quite happy with the results. There were some wild cards in there and some weird things and some ones that should have been there that weren't and that kind of thing. But it was never did I say this is the definitive, although a lot of people took it as such. There were some mad rock stars, let's put it that way.
Right.
Yeah, one 80s band was very annoyed at me and called me very nasty names in public.
No.
Yeah.
Shoot, did they rank 80 on the list instead of?
No, they didn't appear. Just didn't. Anyway, I'm not going to hold a grudge against Loverboy, but I do.
It's okay. So wait, let's open the books and see what the.
Yeah. Are you not allowed to listen to Turn Me Loose anymore? Is that
I wouldn't listen to it in the first place. So there you go. My least favorite band.
Oh no.
Well, okay. So Bob, I went through some of this, and I couldn't do both. I found. Your record collection. It's very hard to kind of start to consider it as, well, that's a Canadian artist, and that's because we're so integrated into the American music scene anyway. And when I was going through my record collection in my office this morning, trying to pull out Canadian records, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, I forgot about that. Yeah, that is Canadian. Yeah, and it takes a while to kind of get in that frame. I actually had to go through them twice to kind of say, oh yeah, I'm forgetting about that. Yeah, I guess it's a different mindset when you're just considering what's a Canadian single or a Canadian record kind of thing. And we kind of touched upon it earlier about a lot of the crossovers, like a Alanis Morissette or, Neil Young or the Bare Naked Ladies. They've all had big hits in the States, and
worldwide, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier on my end because I came through first radio, which, you have to play a certain amount of Canadian music, so immediately if a song's Canadian or not, because it's going to count for CanCon, so you mark it down.
Right.
And then at CBC, of course, the mandate at CBC is to promote Canadian culture, so you paid attention to that for sure. In the long run, does it matter to the consumer? It kind of does. There's a certain pride. There's not enough. There should be more. I think, we're late to the table. If you want to do elbows up with Canadian music, there's still a lot of room to be doing that, especially locally, especially with East Coast artists. But it's hard to, convince a teenager that they should be listening to Canadian artists when they're, bombarded by pop culture that that all the biggest hits are coming from the States or England.
Yeah.
So I flipped the page here to the final list on the singles, and why don't you just give us a brief description of what the top 10 singles are?
Okay.
In your book here.
The number one single, ironically, was American Woman by the Guess Who. But, of course, it's an anti-American song.
Interesting.
From that. Neil Young was at number 2 with Heart of Gold. No surprise there. The band's The Weight, which has increased in popularity dramatically over the last 25 years, is everybody knows that one. Bryan Adams, Summer of '69. I'm still surprised that got that high. Oh, huge hit. Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, number 5. We talked about that earlier, and it's that's a legendary song now. Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf. Most people forget that Steppenwolf was a Canadian band.
Yeah.
But 3 of 5 members, when they moved to L.A., they'd come out of Toronto, a band called the Sparrow, and moved there. If You Could Read My Mind by Gordon Lightfoot, Bachman Turner Overdrive, Taking Care of Business, Ian and Sylvia's Four Strong Winds, there's a Canadian anthem, and finally, number 10, Snowbird, Anne Murray.
There we go.
So, yeah.
Full circle moment. But yeah, I didn't actually realize a lot of these are Canadian. Like, I think in my mind, I was thinking that they're just like automatically American, but that's awesome. Yeah, that's a good list, I think.
And I mean, yeah, heavily weighted boomer, but the book is 15 years old now.
Yeah,
so
it's
almost
okay.
getting towards 20. And also Gold Radio keeps these songs alive. I'm amazed at what my kids know from my era of music. I'll have something on and they go, oh yeah, they know the song better than, and then I'll ask them about something current and they don't have a clue. So gold music has that format has advertising, using it online. Those songs have a tremendous staying power. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like Sirius Radio will have, categories of classic rock or different types of categories that you can just listen to all that all the time.
Exactly. Spotify too. Yeah, playlists. 70s, 80s.
All right. So, Bob, I do want to take issue with a few things.
Sure.
Here. I have issues.
All right.
You know I have issues. Right?
Let your voice be heard about
a lot of those issues we can't help you with, Tim, and we're not professionals.
All right. So I was surprised not to see any Nick Gilder on there.
Really? Well, yeah, he had a pretty big hit there. Hot Fun. And,
you got the Hot Child in the City.
Hot Child in the City, yeah.
That could have been there.
Yeah, and there were a lot of votes for that. It's just there was so much from that era that he was really fighting the Bryan Adams songs.
Right.
And late 70s, there was tremendous amount of stuff that could have been in there. Again, it's the voting. There were probably, in some cases when you're down to like 98, 99 on that list, the difference between that and what was at number 127 was only a few votes. So.
Well, by a strange coincidence, I'm going to see Bryan Adams next month in Moncton. I don't know why.
You don't know why.
But I am going.
Somehow you just magically got tickets.
And Bob, I'll pick you up if I see it. I'll pick you up a Cuts Like a Knife T-shirt.
Great. I would like that. Triple X.
Yeah. I think it's probably better than the Summer of '69. I think that's more his first big hit.
Oh, Cuts.
Probably.
Yeah, I can't remember what order they go. Run to Me was early on, and
No, Cuts Like a Knife would have been the first album. Yeah.
I feel like I know Summer of '69 much better.
Well, yes, it's way much more.
It is.
Yeah, but just on that, and you asked me earlier, Caitlin, about the attitude of Canadians. So, Bryan Adams is a huge rock star, right? Like, he's in the stratosphere. He's up there. You can't just phone Bryan Adams up, right? And so you got to go through management. And if management's being gatekeeper, they go, Bryan's not doing interviews for, your little book. And that's what I got. And so I'm talking to Bryan's writing partner for years, the guy who co-wrote all those hits with him, Jim Valens. And Jim's a good guy. I'd interviewed him on other stuff, and he was happily going to be involved in these books. And he goes, are you going to talk to Bryan? I went, they won't let me talk to Bryan. And he goes, just a sec. Tappity, 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 tappity. A couple of minutes later. Yeah, okay, I got Bryan. He's on his email. So we're just going to do a triple email interview here, And like in seconds, Bryan's like, yeah, cool, I'll do that. So that's why I have a Bryan Adams interview. It wasn't, it's like once you get past that attitude that, that's out there of, big rock star. Juno Awards is like that. I get a kick out of the Juno Awards. I go to the Juno Awards. They're like everybody's behind security and velvet ropes, and they're walking the red carpet, and and wearing their best clothes. And I'm looking at, they're not letting me anywhere near them or anyone else. And I'm going, on Monday, I can phone that person at home. And they're probably, like they're out mowing their lawn or something.
Yeah. I mean, hey, that's pretty cool.
It's like, we got to get away from that imitation of LA idea. These are people doing their jobs, just like you and me.
So, but Brian isn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland,
isn't he?
I don't think he is.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, that thing's a joke anyway.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. That's Jan Wenner, Rolling Stone magazine.
I mean,
that thing is like, that's horse.
If he's our biggest rock star, he should be there, right?
I think he should be.
This is my thing. Because we let Americans and British write the history of rock music, we've been written out of it. These writers, they don't know for Canada. They're sitting in New York and Los Angeles, and they're like doing favors for their record company buddies and all that. And so, of course, they're not, why would we pay attention? Until they get big enough, like Joni or Neil, that they have to deal with them. They're not going to look at it. Why is the Tragically Hip not huge stars in the States? Because they didn't write about them. People weren't exposed to them.
Right.
And so that's when I set out to do these books, especially the first one, Top 100 Canadian Albums. I talked to Goose Lane, the publishers, and I said, I would really like this to do the same job. They were mostly known for their high-end literature and high-end art publications. So I said, I want this to be a really nice coffee table book, hardcover. Treat the music, Canadian music, with the respect it deserves. And so it was pretty much the first coffee table art book in the country that covered rock music. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
All right. Trooper or April Wine, Bob?
Oh, God, that's a really difficult one. Equal to me. For so many reasons, both are good. Probably, I will go with April Wine simply because of the East Coast. And, the whole circle of life thing that Miles Goodwin went through, born in New Brunswick and Woodstock, but grew up in the Halifax area, coming out of Halifax, making it internationally successful, living his life, and then retiring back to the Maritimes and having a new, much calmer and rewarding career doing shows until he died. So, I love that arc of the story, and they probably had more hits than Trooper, but at the same time, Trooper had, I love those anthems that Ray Maguire wrote, and really neat stuff. They never pretended to be anything other than what they were. Good radio pop rock hits.
Raise a Little Hell was a big hit when we were a kid.
Big hit.
I know that one too. It's
you
big.
know that?
Yeah.
Trooper's greatest hits.
Okay.
5 times platinum, I think it was.
Yeah. Still gets played.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Guess Who or BTO?
Guess Who. I think the combination. You need Randy and you need Burton together, and that's the magic. I like BTO, but again, the albums didn't hold up as well as the Guess Who's classic albums, I don't think.
Yeah. All right. Here's a tougher one. Gord's Gold or Rust Never Sleeps?
Oh gosh, man, that is
Which would you take? Which would you grab, Bob?
Oh, you stumped him.
Yeah, no, going on the desert island, I got 2 choices. I'd probably take Gord's Gold because there's a...
Because it's longer? Or?
No, because there's that. It's a double album. More songs on it. But it is his best. For almost all of his best, and from the early days. Whereas Neil's is a slice. It's 1978. It's what he was doing then. It's a really good album,
right,
for sure. But Gord, it's a greatest hit. So what are you gonna do?
So with Neil Young, you went Harvest, and
the survey went Harvest.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
we need like your book, Bob Mersereau's top 10 Canadian singers.
Maybe very different.
I mean, what do you think the album that really defines him, though?
Neil?
Yeah.
Oh, probably Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, his second
really
album. Yeah, I mean, you have Cowgirl in the Sand, Cinnamon Girl, and what's the third biggie on there? Yeah, so it's and it's the start. It's Crazy Horse at its best, its earliest. It's it's dynamite. Yeah, rock and quiet and just everything you want. Cowgirl in the Sand, Down by the River, and Cinnamon Girl.
Down by the
all written in one day, supposedly in a fever dream, coming out of a sickness.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's pumped out so much.
Yeah.
And so diverse.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of choose your Neil Young.
Yeah.
Which one you like, right?
Yeah. I put together a playlist of Neil Young love songs. Like, whoever thinks of Neil Young and love songs, but he has got amazing love songs all the way through his career if you just separate them out from the others. So
Right.
I Believe in You and Harvest Moon.
Harvest Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Tim is now rummaging through his bags, trying to pull out the next trick out of his hat.
What? You think I have tricks?
Yeah.
Tricks are for kids.
I notice he has swag for Porter O'Brien.
Oh, yes, we have hats, too.
Yeah.
I have swag.
I didn't get any swag.
We've got socks, and I think we have, like, lip balm now.
Do you, sell merch?
No, I don't think so. She said I have a little booth at the market. No.
I thought you'd pick that one, Bob.
Yeah, I love After the Gold Rush. Yeah, it's a fantastic album. I like it better than Harvest, as a matter of fact. I mean, I would have a really hard time choosing just the one Neil Young to take. And in many ways, this, After the Gold Rush covers both rock and quiet very well, from Southern Man to I Believe in You, Oh Lonesome Me. It's got its countryside to it. It's got its spacey, weird After the Gold Rush song. And yeah, great album.
So where does Katie Lang fit in here?
Where does Katie fit in? She fits in very well. She's had an interesting career. I see she's going to perform at the Anne Murray big they're honoring Anne Murray in Nashville at the Opry at the end of October, and I see Katie.
Right.
Katie really has always admired Anne Murray, and they've done a lot of stuff together over the years, and so I was glad to see her. Is going to be at that show with Anne, honoring Anne.
Did she get her due? I mean,
Katie?
She's kind of forgotten a little bit.
She pulled back on purpose, I think. When album sales started to tank, I think she said, why am I beating my head against the wall? I think she just, she had a big career. And I think she just.
I think she wrote Constant Craving, didn't she?
She did.
That was a huge song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Huge song. All right.
With Ben Mink.
What?
With Ben Mink, her longtime collaborator.
Yes. All right. So where does my favorite? I mean, we shouldn't. I can't believe we haven't even brought up
Rush.
No,
Rush.
we have.
Like, where is my favorite album here, Bob? Like, where do you rank this? Like, where is it?
There you go.
Permanent Waves.
Is this ranked in your book?
It didn't. No, I mean, there were 3 Rush albums, I believe, but Permanent Waves was not amongst the 3 that was voted in. Rush had no problem being in the book.
But you must have had Spirit of the Radio as a single somewhere.
Yes, it's in the singles book for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't speak for Rush fans because I'm not one of them. I'm okay with Rush.
This interview's over.
Controversial take.
Moving Pictures was the number 1 in the book. It finished 9.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I will tell you that Neil Peart was a great guy. Neil actually wrote the foreword for my History of Canadian Rock and Roll book. I interviewed him for both those first 2 books, Top 100 Albums and Top 100 Singles. And then when I was get it. They asked me, can you get a big rock star for the history book? And I went, yeah, sure. I emailed Neil Peart. I said, can you write a foreword for this book? And he goes, well, we're in rehearsals for our last tour, which was a really huge deal. And he goes, well, I'll see what I can do. Anyway, I emailed him on a Friday. On Monday, he had sent back. He'd written it on the weekend and did it, which was a really nice thing for him to do. Always answered emails when I sent them. And just a really generous guy. When they played on that last tour, they played Halifax. Mm-hmm. And I emailed him really last minute, because I didn't even have tickets till last minute. And I got them. I ended up taking my 3 kids. And I said, it was a big surprise. They were all Rush fans. And I said, hey, Neil, I'm going to go.
The Clockwork
Angels.
Yeah. I was at that. Yeah, I was at that show.
Yeah. So I emailed him and said, I'm going to be at the show. He goes, oh, I wish I had known earlier. I've already made arrangements to meet up with friends. And I don't do the meet and greets. He famously didn't do any of the shaking hands stuff. That was part of his arrangement with the band when he went back after leaving for a little bit. And he said, but you find, I forget the guy's name, he was the road manager. When you come in and talk to him, I'll set something up for you. I didn't know what he'd set up. So I did the meet and greet with Alex and Getty, and we all had our picture taken, blah, blah. And then I found, let's call him Spike. And I said, oh, hi, Neil said to find you. And he goes, oh, yeah, you're the guy with the kid who drums, right? And this is my youngest son, was taking drums lessons at the time. I said, yeah. He goes, oh, come with me. So me and Ben and him, we follow him up we go right on stage just before the show started. Walk right in the middle of the stage, right up to Neil's drum kit, looking out over the sea of people, and he goes to the Getty's little stand where he keeps all his stuff, and he pulls out a pair of stage-used drumsticks and hands them to my son. So,
oh my gosh,
that
what
was
a great
Neil Peart.
memory!
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we got time for one more album.
One more what?
One more.
Oh,
you keep pulling them out of your bag.
No,
I know, but
I've got some Toronto stuff here I want to ask Bob about.
Okay.
So, Bob,
Rio's great
Rio
band.
Statics,
That's a nice album to have.
or
Greatest Hits. That's their debut.
or Change of Heart.
Oh, Rio's. I was never really a Change Heart fan, but Rio Statics, great, interesting, fantastic band. Anybody that would write a song called "The Ballad of Wendell Clark," hockey player reference, Maple Leafs. But Dave Bedini, really interesting fellow, very nice guy. Owns a newspaper, an old-fashioned newspaper in Toronto. That I think it's a weekly or
he's a good
monthly or
writer.
something.
Yeah.
And just trying to get the spirit of local newspapers back in the world.
Right.
And he emceed my book launch in Toronto. So there you go.
Okay.
That's pretty
I'm
cool.
only going to say nice things about him.
And I'll throw down this. This is more obscure.
The Lawn. Oh, yeah, Gordy.
Gord Cumming.
Yeah,
Great.
I know Gord a little bit. Yeah.
Great slide guitarist.
Yeah, used to run into him in Toronto
Some
in the
great
80s.
great songs.
I like the cover art. It's cool.
Saw him.
Handmade.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a rare one.
It is.
Yeah, I saw him downtown Toronto, just wandering around. Hey, Gord, how you doing? So just hanging. It's a nice time. Saw them open. They opened for Valdi one time in one of the funniest shows I was there in. It was some suburb of Toronto having their summer festival, and somebody decided that Valdi and the Lawn would be an interesting combo, and I think there were like 30 people there.
Right. Yeah. So this is the wrong album, but I just pulled what was in my office. So, but I mean, you gotta love their version of Sweet Jane.
Oh yeah, Cowboy Junkies you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean that made them famous. They really a whole such a different style, different sound. It was to have this kind of atmospheric hip band doing old blues songs, and it was really neat sound. And they really invented that kind of live off the floor sound that they got for those records. Very interesting.
The Trinity
Great
Sessions.
vocalist. Trinity Sessions. Yeah.
All right, one more, Caitlin. One more.
One more.
I
and
mean,
it's Coburn.
we gotta mention Bruce Coburn.
Sure.
Of course.
Bruce.
Where does he fit, Bob? Like, this
huge,
guy's
absolutely.
a hugely underrated guitarist to begin with.
Very much so.
And a great,
excellent performer.
Yes.
Such a seasoned veteran, doing it year after year. Great songs all along. I mean, he had a whole legacy in just the 70s of excellent albums, and then to continue on at such, adding different textures to his sound over the years, putting in a little reggae, putting in lots of jazz, just, and being able to front a screaming rock band or do acoustic quiet shows and, be an amazing acoustic player. Yeah, great vocals, great writer. Yeah, hugely underrated.
Right. So great debate over, between Joni and maybe Neil Young, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Does Joni get her due?
Oh, she does now, for sure.
You think?
Yeah. I mean,
I've
there's
researched.
such the resurgence of her popularity in the last 5 years has been exceptional.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's now teenagers are just in love with Joni as they were in the 70s.
Right.
They are now. So yeah, Brandy Carlisle is hugely responsible for that, and coaxing her out of post-illness retirement.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah.
but now, she's I would say that she's probably put herself. There's no need to rank. Right.
You've got her album. You've got her album pretty high.
Yeah. Well, that was and I think now Blue. Yeah.
Like it was.
Yeah, but number 2 to Neil Young's Heart of Gold, and I think now if I did that same survey, she'd probably be number 1.
Might flip.
Nice.
I think it would probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's just if you're going to rank, but I think. These are unassailable people, and since they're friends, they don't have to compete anyway.
All right. Well, I think I'm done, Caitlin. Are you done, Bob?
Oh, no.
We could talk here for hours, I think, just about, I think this is only a fraction of your album collection as well.
I still have more in the bag, but, I'm leaving it behind.
There's some I want to take. I want that Lawn album and the first Rheostatics album.
You're not having any of that.
That's great stuff.
You can come by the office and listen to it. Well, how about that, Bob?
Yes.
Do I get some swag?
Yes,
you could.
We'll get you some socks.
We also sometimes have treats in the kitchen, so you
we'll
can
get
get
you
snacks.
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
We might be able to find lip balm.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'll just be hanging out in the kitchen. Oh yeah, Bob, he just stays around here.
Yeah.
Whenever we're bored, we go in and talk to him. He's usually talking anyway.
It's our music industry consultant. Anyway, thanks so much, Bob. This was a really great chat.
No problem.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you, Bob.
Yep. Thanks, Tim.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Soundbite, a production of Porter O'Brien and CHSR 97.9 FM. Special thanks to our podcast host, CHSR, our sound editor, March Rojas Velasquez, as well as Adam Porter, who provided our theme music. You can find all our episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts under Soundbite, and you can follow us on Facebook, Blue Sky, and Twitter at SoundbiteNB, as well as LinkedIn under Soundbite Podcast.